What's up, everyone? I'm here. Sorry to keep you all waiting. Had a little bit of an emergency situation, so I had a boiler start leaking really hot water all over my floor. As you can imagine, my boiler is in the basement, which is where I am right now, and there's a lot of stuff in the basement that I don't want to get soaking wet. So needless to say, it's something that had to be taken care of, but all seems well for now. They replaced a pressure valve or something like that. So I think I'm good to go. Only about 20 minutes late. Could definitely have been a lot worse than it was. It is par for the course, though. I have found that during the course of Mythic Conversations, shows that I'm really excited about tend to be the ones where I have technical issues. My internet has also been spotty, going in and out all day today. So it has definitely been a bit of a stressful day all around. And there was a bit of worry up until this morning. I wasn't sure what I was going to talk about tonight. At one point, I was just going to do kind of a Q&A type of thing. But a lot of stuff came together today in terms of LegionsCon planning. I finished the map. I finished the schedule. So we're only, just over 5 weeks away from LegionsCon 2025. So figured it would be an ideal time to go through all that, to kind of just go through the floor plan. We'll see the floor plan for the first time tonight, see the schedule for the first time. And I can just kind of talk to you about some of the stuff that we've got planned and going on. Because we've been presenting stuff. We've had a bunch of reveals. A bunch of reveals recently, even on this show. There's been a lot talked about. I know a lot of other shows are doing their roads to LegionsCon and LegionsCon for first timers and all that. But this is one I like to do every year, where I kind of go through it and then just explain everything that's going to be going on. So before we get into that, I just want to make sure that everyone's aware of what's going on this week, because there is certainly some big news happening. Probably the biggest news is the pre-order for the not Infinite Legions. My head's all over the place right now because I'm not prepared. Usually I'm on the computer like 30 minutes before showtime, just getting myself ready, and obviously I'm like less than 30 seconds since the plumber guy just left that I'm here. So bear with me. Legacies of Mythos, not Infinite Legions. Legacies of Mythos, that pre-order ends this coming Sunday. So all of the in-stock Otho and Urzok figures, those went out actually last week. I believe they finished the shipping on all of those. Actually, I think it was even the week before, because I think last week they finished Ox Crew, Book 1 Thraxon, and now they're on the Cosmic Head Packs, which we'll talk about in a minute. But all of the in-stock figures for Legacies of Mythos, those shipped a couple weeks ago. So really now it's the pre-order. So if you haven't placed a pre-order, remember when we did the in-stock sale, they were limited to 2 sets per person, and you had to buy them in sets. So if you want to stock up more on one than the other, you can totally do it in this particular sale. Like, for example, I've noticed a lot of people are really excited for that Urzok, getting that Urzok in hand, seeing all of those new body parts. We're seeing lots of great kit bashes and pop and swaps with it. That might be an instance where people who already have an Urzok are realizing, hey, I'd like a few more of these. I want, some more sets of this evil armor so I can upgrade some of my existing figures. So whatever you want to do, you are able to do that. Let me bring this up here. Oh, So this is storehorseman.com. These are available right now at Store Horseman. They will be available from retailers later once our pre-order is done. But if you want to get in on the direct pre-order, this is what you're going to need to do. They are available, like I said, until this coming Sunday, which is October 5th at 11 p.m. Eastern time. So be sure, do not miss out on that. Get over to that. Every time we do a pre-order, we always end it at 11 p.m. Eastern time because we're over here in the Eastern time zone. There's always people that get the time zone mixed up. And I see people saying like, oh, I thought it was, 11 p.m. West Coast time, Pacific time or whatever. No, it's always East Coast time. So just don't wait till the last minute, right? Don't wait, even if you wait till the last day, don't wait till the last possible minute so you don't miss out. I did mention some of the other shipping. The shipping team has been absolutely killing it. They've been getting so much product out. It's great to see that all of these figures getting into fans' hands. It's been a really cool, steady stream. So I just mentioned the Legacies of Mythos. Those are all shipped out. Ox Crew Wave 1 is getting incredibly rave reviews. The people that are getting that in hand absolutely love it. The All-In shipped out a few weeks ago, and then last week, all of the kind of individual orders, or even if you ordered an All-In and you ordered extras, those extras went out last week as well. So really cool to see people enjoying that. Retailer street date on that is actually in just over a week. That's going to be on October, for actually 2 weeks at this point. That's October 15th. So October 15th, 2 weeks from today, that is going to be retailer street date on Ox Crew. One thing to be aware of is we will have these at future shows. We had a bunch of people at ToyCon New Jersey this past weekend asking us for Ox Crew Wave 1. We will not start carrying these at shows until after street date is passed. So realistically, appropriate for tonight, I guess. The first show that we're going to have Ox Crew figures for sale is going to be LegionsCon. But if you don't want to wait for LegionsCon, if you want to make sure you secure it now, remember the prices we charge at the shows are retail price. So it's the same price you're going to charge, you're going to pay from a retailer. Retailers have a limited amount of these. So if there's one you have your eye on, if you want the whole wave, whatever, you might not want to wait too long. Get in on those retailers because once they're through their allotment that they've pre-ordered, they're not getting a restock. They're not getting any more. Once they're gone, they're gone. Cosmic head packs are shipping right now. Those are super, super fun. I was actually just at the studio last week for ToyCon New Jersey. I grabbed a couple Wave 1 Cosmic figures. Like I grabbed a couple Oleg Thygars, a couple Zeri Spires to use some of those head packs on, a few Ias Cypidian. They're made to go with these figures. So super, super cool. The people that are getting those seem to really be enjoying them as well. And it's very cool to finally have those in hand. They just add another element, another option to some of those existing Cosmic figures. And then I believe on the afternoon show today, they announced that the container with the Jersey Devil figure should be arriving very, very soon. And then those should start shipping out within like the week. So that's exciting as well and appropriate, right? Here we are in October. 'Tis the spooky season of the year. So excited that those are going to be on the way. So that's some news going on right now. But tonight we are here to talk about LegionsCon. I'm going to bring this up here. So LegionsCon 2025, it seems like just yesterday that we were ending 2024, the show, and, we were announcing that we were going to be at the same hotel for 2025. Everyone get ready. It's, a year away at that point. And it seems like it's been so long and yet not as long as it really is. It's a weird sensation. It comes so fast, but it takes so long to come. The craziest weekend of the year for me personally, but also my favorite weekend of the year. There is absolutely nothing like LegionsCon. So we're going to go through that. We're going to talk about that tonight. Certainly, if you haven't purchased your tickets for LegionsCon yet, you're going to want to get those at legionscon.com. We are very close to nearing that 100 badges left. And me be clear when I say that is we only pre-sell so many 2-day advanced badges. We don't sell the single day passes online. The advanced badges is what we sell online. Those are the 2-day badges. They're $50 plus Eventbrite charges fees and tax for the 2 days. That's going to cover you for the entire time. One of the nice things about pre-ordering is if you are coming in early, right? If you're coming in, say, on the Friday, you can pick up your badges early at the show, and that prevents you from having to wait in the registration line to get a badge on Saturday morning. You can get right in one of the other lines. And we'll talk all about that in a little bit. But breaking down LegionsCon, the first thing that we clearly showed for LegionsCon from an exclusive standpoint was the Tale of the Crossroads figures. So I had these prototypes out at the Charlie's Collectible show in down in Stone Mountain, Georgia a few weeks ago. They got a great reaction. These were also out this past weekend at ToyCon, New Jersey. Equally a really, really strong reaction, which is super exciting for me. I absolutely love these characters. I love these figures. They're probably my favorite thing that I've had a hand in putting together. I created these 4 characters, and I'm really excited that the reaction that they have gotten so far. So I want to talk through this a little bit to dispel any, misunderstandings. In the past, we would do like a certain exclusive on the Saturday of LegionsCon and then a different exclusive on the Sunday. And the Saturday ones were not sold on the Sunday and vice versa. We're not doing that this year. This year, all the figures are going to be available while supplies last on both days of the show. We always did that like day 1, day 2 thing, because there are so many shows that day 2 is far less busy than day 1. So we wanted to incentivize people to come to day 2. But what we have realized is we don't need to incentivize the bulk of the crowd at LegionsCon to come for day 2, to come for Sunday, because they stay through Monday. Like a lot of people stay Sunday night at the hotel and they check out Monday morning to really get the full experience of LegionsCon. So what we realized we were doing by splitting the exclusives was just making it harder for people to get what they wanted, especially those people that can only come to one day of the show, right? They will only have access to that day's exclusive. So we got rid of that. These are going to be available on both days. So what you're seeing here, while I showed you, let me go back. There's 4 characters, but there's basically 2 figures. So there's the male figure and the female figure. And the way it works is the male figure is going to allow you to build one of 2 characters. So if you notice that image in the center, that's the full loadout for, this is called the Warrior and the Revenant, because the Warrior is on the left, the Revenant is on the right. So basically, it's the same base body. You're changing out the heads, the pauldrons, the neck armor and the torso, the waist armor and the weapons, and that creates these different looks. Now, of course, you can absolutely combine these any way you want. One of the great things about these sets is they were made for you to be able to pop and swap and really build out, the looks that you want for your collection. But to build out the character looks the way that I originally intended it is what you see here, the Warrior and the Revenant. Very, very, fun set, I think, that you're going to be able to mix and match these parts. But so if you want to build out all 4 Crossroads Keepers, you will have to buy 2 males and 2 females, okay? The LegionsCon edition, these are going to come with some bonus parts. So the 2 heads that you see here, that Gorgo helmet and that scaphoid colored green, zombie head, which when we first showed it, it was cool that it was colored like scaphoid, but a lot of people didn't realize that that was very, very intentional. The fact that we're also going to drop scaphoid, and this has further use in that figure. But these 2 parts are exclusive to the LegionsCon editions. And one thing to be aware of this year is These particular LegionsCon editions, these are going to be $55 at the show. There are going to be standard versions that are available from Store Horseman sometime in 2026. Those will come in standard Legions packages, so they won't have the LegionsCon branded artwork packages that we're going to look at in a moment, but they also won't have those bonus parts. They will, however, be the regular retail price, so they will be $55. So there's no difference in price with this year. One can see, oh, I'm back. My screen was spinning for a minute. What I was saying is they're $55 whether you buy the show editions at LegionsCon or whether you buy the standards later. So if you are at LegionsCon and you want those bonus parts, you're not going to be saving any money by not buying them there. So kind of incentivizes you to support the show and to get the figures at LegionsCon. One cool thing is we are not limiting the purchases this year within reason. So if someone came up and wanted a crazy number of them, someone came up and said, I want 100 of them, we would tell them, look, see us at the end of the show. If we still have that many available, we'll figure it out. But earlier in the show, we're not going to sell that amount. But someone that comes up and wants a reasonable amount because they want, I mean, with the Crossroads, 2 of each just to make the 4 characters. Maybe they want some extras for pop and swaps. Maybe they're hooking up a couple people back home. We have enough that we should be able to support all of those purchases. So there are no limits within reason. Caveat. The female set you see here, this is you can make both the Nymph, which is the figure on the left, or the Chirel, which is the figure on the right. So Furious Figures, does this mean that the $42 standard pre-order will now be $55 moving forward? No, $42 is the discounted pre-order price. $55 is the retail price. So something that is $42 when it's available as a direct pre-order, that is $55 at retail. All of these items are in-stock items. They're not pre-orders. So there is no pre-order discount because there is no pre-order. The only thing that was different with that recently was the legacies, where the $55 standard retail was what we charged for the in-stock items. We didn't discount the pre-order, in part because it's going to turn around really fast, and we didn't want to charge less for the pre-order than the in-stock. So at this point, $55, that's standard retail price for our figures. For about a decade, it was $50. So in about 10 years, it's only gone up $5. Show me anything else that's gone up that little amount in a decade. The $42 is what you will see for standard figures for the pre-order discounts. Very good. So as I was saying here, this is what we've got. You're going to be able to make one of these 2 characters with that set. Now, the exclusive parts on this are seen here. So that Queen Urxa head, that is exclusive to LegionsCon, and the Ziri Inspire head that's repainted, that is also exclusive. That green head that's on her staff, that is not exclusive to LegionsCon. So that is one that does match the Scaphoid figure. That is going to be available in both editions. Joe Vassapolo's in the chat, and he's also dropping some knowledge saying the Warrior/Revenant also mixes well with Urzok and with the grungy armor from the Armory. I'm going to keep saying it. Awesome. Okay, here we go. This is something else that we showed last week for the first time. Actually, last week on this show, we showed the package samples. Strong Collector saying, is leftover stock going to BBTS? Very likely. Viteri Productions that puts on LegionsCon, they're the ones that are going to be selling these. BBTS is their kind of official partner for their show exclusives, not just Legions, but any show exclusives they do. So if there are any extras, I would expect that they would show up at LegionsCon. At Big Bad Toy Store. But that actually, we don't know how many we're going to have left over, if any at all. So we'll have to see. But that, I would assume that is what's going to happen. Back again to this picture here. This is the packaging. So when I said the exclusive packaging featuring art by David Williams, this is what that exclusive packaging looks like. So this will only be available with those bonus parts at LegionsCon. Now, last week, we showed the other set of show exclusives. And once again, this is not a day one, day two. All four of these figures, the male Crossroads figure, the female Crossroads figures, and the Legacies of Mythos, Sir Valgard and Scaphoid, they will be available on both days of LegionsCon. If you're interested in these, definitely check out the show that I did with Eric Treadaway and Joe Vassapolo last week. Really good stuff where we showed all of this. These were also on display at LegionsCon this weekend. I know Jonathan from Hedgehog Action, he did some cool videos where he showed the stuff on display. A lot of other people like Dub3, he took a bunch of great photos. A lot of great stuff there. There's a lot of on the Mythic Legions Cabal and on Instagram and so forth. A lot of people sharing those photos. This is the Legacies of Mythos Scaphoid that is going to be available. And this is the Legacies of Mythos Sir Valgard. Each of them, the base figure, that's going to be included both with the LegionsCon version and the standard, will allow you to make the main character. But then at LegionsCon, there are the bonus parts to make out some of their followers. And I did see some people comment, why would you put the army builder parts in the show exclusives? Well, in part because we want you to buy the show exclusives, but also because they're not the characters. Like, these are just some bonus parts that we threw in to army build these out a little bit, to make some extra characters that we wrote for these little new bios. But really, the Legacies, just like the Legacies Otho is all the parts to make Otho, the Legacies Urzok is all the parts to make Urzok. Same thing with these. When we built these figures, we wanted to make the best Scaphoid, the best Sir Valgard, make them worth every penny, and then add even more as a bonus for those show editions. So these additional parts, which are all just repaints of parts we've seen elsewhere. On the Scaphoid, you get that tuberculized skull and those bone wings. On what we call it's Sir Valgard, but that build, that full-size knight we call the Valiant Guard. You get the full-size legs, the lower gauntlets, the pauldrons, and the helmet to make out that guard character. So those are going to be available at LegionsCon. Here are the LegionsCon editions. The boxes for both the LegionsCon and the standard look very, very similar. If you were looking at the top, you would see that it's got the LegionsCon logo and dates. And of course, in this instance, you can see on the Sir Valgard, you can see that knight helmet. And on Scaphoid, you can see the tuberculized skull and the wings. Obviously, because those are not included with the standards, you wouldn't see them in the packages. Once again, all of these will be $55 at the show. When the standard versions of these are available next year, they will also be $55. I'm just checking the chat real quick. Okay, there we go. Just had to do a little housekeeping there. Okay. So next, getting the show exclusives is certainly going to be an important part for a lot of people at LegionsCon. And we're going to look at the floor map in a few minutes, but these are going to be available not from the Four Horsemen store, but these are available from Vatiri Productions, from LegionsCon itself. So in the main ballroom, that is where this is going to be set up this year. So if you're going to want these figures, you're going to want to get into that main ballroom to get in line. We did have a question earlier, said, will there be pin sets? Yes, Tom, there will be pin sets of the 4 Crossroads Keepers. So I don't have a picture of it right now, but this year's pin set will be 5 pins in all. It will include one of each, the head each of the 4 Crossroads Keepers plus the LegionsCon logo. We just throw that on there because on the back of that pin, we always write the dates and everything. We will also have a limited number of pin sets from, I believe, the last 2 years. I believe it's these two. So we'll have last year's pin set, which is the ones that have Gaspar Gorich, AA20 and CC24. And then we also have a handful that have the Walter the Mad, Cosmic and Mythic with the Vorgus Vermilius. So these will be available in limited numbers as well, along with the brand new pin sets. All of that will be at the LegionsCon tables. One of the things that you always have to decide for LegionsCon is where you're going to start, right? And this is why when I was saying earlier, if you pre-buy your tickets and you are going to be there Friday night between 6 p.m. and 9 p.m., we allow people to come up and to, get early check-in for their badges. So we'll scan your little code. When you ordered from something called Eventbrite. That's the system that we use to process tickets. So you'll be able to just go into your email, or if you just go to eventbrite.com and log in, you can go to your events and it'll have the QR code. We'll scan that. And once you're checked in, we'll give you your badges. What's nice about that is on Saturday morning, you don't have to wait in that registration line with everyone else that wasn't there Friday, plus anybody that wants to pay at the door. So if you aren't going to get if you aren't going to buy the badges in advance, we only sell single day passes at the door, and it's only cash. It's cash only at the door. So if you come up and you're waiting in that line, we go quickly, but it does take a few minutes to get through that line. And that's time you could be spending in one of the other lines. There are basically 3 other lines that you would probably want to consider getting into. And the analogy I always use is going to LegionsCon is kind of like going to Disney World or an amusement park, right? There's so many rides. You have to decide which one you want to ride first. You may intend to ride all of them during your time in the park, but you have to decide which one is most important to you. Where are you going to start? So the 3 places that I would suggest that you can consider, one of them is what we call the community room. It's the main ballroom. It's the largest section of the show where most of the exhibitors are. We're going to look at the exhibitor map in a minute. That is going to be where all your customizers are. That is really where the bulk of the other independent toy companies that are set up are. That is also where the LegionsCon figures are. Now, the LegionsCon figures, it's not like we only have a few hundred. We do have quite a bit. I would suggest that doesn't need to necessarily be the first line you get in, although there are plenty of people that get it out of the way right away, because then they know that they don't have to worry about that at all. They can hit everything else. I would suggest you certainly don't want to wait crazy long. Like, you don't want to wait till the end of the day on Sunday to go get in that line. But it doesn't necessarily have to be your first thing, unless these are the things you're most excited for and you want to get it out of the way. The pin sets are very likely going to sell out, so that is one thing to consider. If the pins are very high on your list to get, you might want to get into that line early. Additionally, all of the customizers that are selling custom figures, if there's a specific customizer whose work you really want to buy, I would say that getting into the community room quickly on the Saturday is important, because customizers, all their stuff is unique, right? So if they have a custom for sale, the first person that comes up and says, I want to buy that, it's gone. So definitely something to consider. Another thing that you can get in line for is the Legion's Armory experience. So this was our Build-A-Figure experience that we did last year. That was a huge success. Last year, we didn't know how it was going to go. And in the morning, we did like tickets where you came up and you got like time tickets. And we said, okay, return at this time, return at this time. Our armory experts, Joe and Big Greg, did so great getting people through that line. And people were so prepared, having used that armory experience assistant that Kirby made in advance, that we really got through it a lot faster. And on Sunday, we didn't even do tickets. We just said, get in line. That's what we're doing this year. So there will be a line outside of the door for the armory experience. I'll show you where that is in a moment. This is another thing that you might want to be able to do. You might want to get in this line. Now, the Legion's Armory experience, this photo here shows the 6 pre-built figures. A couple weeks ago, once again, Eric, Joe, and myself did a show here on Mythic Conversations where we showed all the different parts that are going to be available, all the parts that are in that Armory assistant that you can kind of pre-plan your builds. These are 2 per person per time through the line. So if you get in line, you get up to the experience, they're going to let people in a few at a time to go through the experience. Each time you go through, you can build 2 figures. If you want to go see the step-by-step, watch that previous episode where we cover all of that in a lot of detail. But that's one thing you're going to want to plan out. Certainly, if you're looking to get multiples of these, if you're looking to get some of the parts that are only at LegionsCon, because many of the parts that are at LegionsCon to build on the table, they're not part of the pre-built 6 that we have here. So you will be limited to, obviously, once they sell out, they sell out. There you go. So that's another thing you're going to want to consider doing. Checking the comments here. See, I had a few comments come up. Someone asking if we'll ever do a Legions of Light pin. If you mean we did do the pins for the Legions of Light and Legions of Dark, the Helios and Selene logos. Both of those were actually already made. Let's see. Are there any panels this year? No, we don't really do panels anymore, but we're going to look at the schedule in a minute. Awesome. Okay. Let's look at the maps. So those are the things that you can do. You want to get in line for the community room, which we're going to look at in a minute, for the LegionsCon exclusives, for the Legion's Armory experience. The other thing you might want to consider is what we call the 4 Horsemen Figure Fair storefront. So we did this for the first time last year, and the idea was kind of like a pop-up shop, almost like a Scholastic book fair, but for Legions, which, yeah, that right there is pretty exciting. So that's another line you may want to get in. So I'm going to start there. If you've never been to LegionsCon before, 90% of the activity takes place on the first floor. Okay. So on the first floor, there are essentially 2 very large spaces. There's the biggest ballroom, which is where we call it the community room. That's what I was just talking about, where all the customizers and everything is. Then there's a lobby space. There's hallways around that space where we're going to have some exhibitors. Then we also have a lobby space between that big room and like the main lobby. This kind of like almost secondary lobby, that's where we put the displays. So all of the stuff that we're going to reveal at G-Con on Friday, all of that is on display right in the hallway, so you can check it out all weekend. Last year, when we revealed the giant dragon Beathair, we had 2 different Beathair dragons on display in the hallway for people to check out and take pictures of, along with the full Reign of the Beast wave. And we put up other cool dios and stuff like that as well. So there's a lot of really cool stuff to see in those hallways. And then the third area is this, what we call the studio rooms. So these are 2 different sections, and there's 2 different ways to get in. So this green block, or it's a door, this green area you see at the top, what that's going to be is that's going to be the line, and it's right next to where the ballroom is. That's going to be the line, and there's signage that shows where all this stuff is. That's the line to get into the Legion's Armory experience. So you can see that's where those tables are set up. Once you're done the Legion's Armory experience, you are in this room here, this studio room, where there's a couple great exhibitors in there. We've got Nate Barch with his art in there. We've got Chris with D13 Toys. We've got our friend Pat Wang from Icon Heroes. He's got a toy company. It's going to be his first time at LegionsCon. And we also, of course, have Retro Rags. They're the official providers of Legion's apparel. Over here in the corner, we have Sideshow Collectibles. So Sideshow is going to be attending LegionsCon for the first time ever this year. I can't tell you what they're going to have at those tables, but it's freaking super cool. And you're absolutely going to want to check that out and talk to those guys, because they're actually, this is not just an exhibit. They have a couple of guys that are working on this project with us who are diehard Legions fans, right? These are not just like, oh, let's just send a couple company representatives. Let's send a couple, sales or marketing people. These are the people working on the project with us who love Legions. They're excited to come to LegionsCon. That's in there. And then, of course, we've got Mini GlideCon. So for what I believe is, the fourth year in a row, we're doing this kind of gathering of the Glyos makers, led, of course, by O'Neill Design, Matt Dowdy. He's brought together these amazing creators, these amazing makers. It's such a cool place to hang out because these artists are such incredibly cool people. They've got great stuff. And it's been awesome to see the evolution of our Legions fan base not really understanding what Glyos is, to year in and year out, getting a little more into it, to the point now that so many of our fans are crossovers with the Glyos fan base and vice versa. It's very, very cool. Of course, we announced Infinite Legions last year. The first one that we kicked off was a Glyos character. It was Matt's Faden and Phanos. So a lot of great connections there. Really excited to have those guys back. Now, additionally, this room has the checkout stations. Now, the way that works is this other section of this room, these are basically two separate rooms that are separated by some doors. This is where we have that Four Horsemen figure fair. So what happens is this is a completely separate line. It's down the hall. This is going to allow you to get into the storefront. This got a great reaction last year because in the past when, we just had the tables set up in a row, people felt very pressured to just kind of get through really, really quick. What we do with this is it's a whole room with all the Legion stuff set up that Cookie and his team are restocking all throughout the day. It allows you to go in there. Obviously, we want you to get through there some kind of speed, but it's a little bit more of a relaxed shopping experience where you can go in. It's always cool to see Legions on a store peg, and this is a whole store full of Legions. So it's very, very cool to go in there and do that. Once you get everything you want, you'll go through those doors to the checkout stations where Diego and George will be waiting for you, and then you're actually dumped into that studio room. Now, once you get dumped in the studio room, the one thing you can't do is the Legion's Armory experience. That is a separate line, but you can certainly shop any of the other stuff. So you can go check out Mini GlideCon, you can go check out Sideshow, or any of those other exhibitors there. Okay, let's see. Just checking. Brian, no, Legacies figures will not be at the pop-up shop at Intern, nor will they be at LegionsCon. So we were very clear about that the Legacies figures that we had in stock, we sold all of that stock. So everything went out. We are not going to have any. We will have them at shows again in the future after we do the pre-order run and fulfill all of those. But there will be no Legacies of Mythos other than the Sir Valgard and Scaphoid, and those will be only at LegionsCon. Because those are sold by LegionsCon, not technically by Four Horsemen Studios, they will not be at the pop-up shop as well. There we go. Oh, Brian, so you did meet Valgard and Scaphoid. Yeah, no, again, all of the LegionsCon figures, the Legacies ones and the Crossroads are LegionsCon figures. They're sold by Viteri Productions, so they'll only be at LegionsCon, not at the pop-up shop. So this is the layout. Now, I am going to post all of this stuff at legionscon.com. So if you want to be able to download any of this stuff after tonight's broadcast, you can go to legionscon.com. All of this stuff is going to be available. This one's pretty straightforward, but when you get to this, it gets a little hairier, right? There's a lot of stuff on this map, and it's really tough to look at these little icons and determine who is who. You don't have to worry. When you download the PDF from the website, it's also got a page that lists every single table and who the exhibitor is. So it's very, very easy for you to figure out who is where. Now, if you've been to LegionsCon last year, this is very, very question. So if you go through the Armory, you can visit the rest of the exhibitors in that room. And then if you want to go back to the Armory again, you have to get back in line. That is absolutely correct, Omar. Think about it like if you went on a ride at a theme park, you end in the gift shop. You can't then just go back on the ride. You've got to get out of the gift shop and then go back into the line to ride the ride a second time. That's exactly what you would be doing here as well. But as I was saying for the map, this is the community room. So this is 80 tables that are set up inside. It's 80 tables. Each one of these black boxes is a 10-foot wide by 7-foot deep space. So that gives you a sense of how large this room is. I believe this room is like 11,000 square feet, and it is packed, absolutely packed with awesome, cool stuff. There's also a handful of vendors that are outside of the outside of the hallways as well that we have set up. So going through this, and again, you'll be able to check this out online. You'll be able to see this, but a lot of these are vendors that we've had for the last few years. So I'm not going to comment on, I'm not going to go deep into all these, but I'm just going to tell you kind of who everyone is here. So, and I'm going to just, to make it so I know that I know what I'm doing, I'm going to bring up my list as well. So I've got that available in case I get to one and I blank and I can't remember the name. Okay. Bring it over here. There we go. So starting up here in the corner with table number 1, that is a shared table. It is Anthony Halseal of the Toy Forge. Oops, I went. See, I can't embiggen this, Billy Beige. This is as big as I can get this. But again, when you look at this online, you will see all of it. Toy Forge and Matt Stein of 13Z Customs. They're the first ones up there in table 1. Table 2 is Detour Customs, shares that with Funhouse Customs. Funhouse Customs is Mark Halseal. Detour, that he kind of uses a table and a half, so he also is at table 3. Table 4 is the Euro Legions podcast, so all of those guys with their customs, they'll be there. Table 5 is Immortal Collections. Table 6 in 7 is Wolf King Customs, which I would be remiss if I did not acknowledge the huge news in the world of Team Wolf King that Dirk's Designs has acquired Wolf King Customs, and they are going to be moving forward with their business. That is something that I'm going to want to spend some more time on. It is a huge moment in our community. It's a huge moment and an emotional moment for me, myself. It's no secret I've been involved with Wolf King Customs and with Len LaGuardia since the very, very beginning. My Kitsune head was the first piece that Wolf King Customs ever put out. So it's an incredibly emotional kind of like moment seeing this torch get passed to Dirk's Designs. It couldn't be a better guy picking up the torch from this. So I'm going to have both Dirk from Dirk's Design and Len from Wolf King Customs on a subsequent show so we can really talk about that. But those will be the Wolf King booths that will be operated by Dirk's Designs. Table 8 is Emil Wickman. Table 9 is Curtis and Darla of Art by Ackerman, and also Tanya McCoy will have some of her customs on display. And then tables 10 and 20, so that's an end cap. That is going to be where the LegionsCon figures are. So you can see there are multiple entrances to get into this particular room. If you went out this little side entrance here where the LegionsCon tables are, you would really be right across the hall from where the line for the Legions Armory experience is. There's a lot to take in when you get there, but once you're there and you see the signs, it's very easy. So these LegionsCon booths, that's where the Crossroad figures, where the pins, where Sir Valgard and Scaphoid are going to be. Kevin, the show maps will be up on the website as soon as this episode is done. I have them all ready to go. I'll post them as soon as this is done. Table 11 is Borderland Horde. Table 12 is the Malignancy. That's the Goblin group. Table 13 is He-Mike Custom Creations. Table 14 is Mythic Bits. Table 15 is shared between Chris Ferrone and Giovanni Blyden. Table 16 is shared between Jesse Arnold from, I want to say CB Make, but that's Brian. I'm drawing a blank now. It's Jesse, but I forget what he posts. Oh, Just Shelve It. Jesse from Just Shelve It. Mark Riviera from Markstar Media and Brian Say from CB Make. They will be sharing that table. Table 17 is Telltale Art, which is Patrick. Not Patrick. That's Nate. Yeah, that's Nate, and Patrick is PB Customs. So they'll be sharing table 17. Table 18 is Lord Stephen Bouchatti and David Williams. Table 19. Okay, sorry, someone was just texting me. Table 19 is actually my table, Mythic Customs. I haven't talked yet about what I'm going to be displaying at my table this year. So I'm going to hold that off for a subsequent episode as we get closer. Table 21 is Dennis Derby. Table 22 is Noah Pratt. 23 is Eric Miller. 24 is Late Night LeBron. 25 is Von Berg Studios. 26 is Dirk Design. So in addition to the Wolf King stuff, he's also there. 27 is Future Past, which is a customizer. 28 is Trevor Williams, 1/6 shooter, and the Legion's Lounge crew. Table 29 is Dang Studios, Dusty and Ange. Table 30 is Carver Customs, and he's also sharing his table this year with something called Raging Ogre Customs. Table 31, Matt Rhodes. Table 32, Eugene Unick. Table 33 is Ideas from Mars. They're the ones that put out those very cool dinosaur figures that Four Horsemen Studios worked on, the Armies of Ashmore. Table 34 is the My Wife Is Gonna Kill Me podcast. And table 35 is Drunk Gizmo Customs. If you've seen those cool water fountains that people have, those custom water fountains for dioramas, that's what you will find there. Table 36 is Plunderlings. Table 37 is a shared table. It is Pablo Lopez of PL Toy Box Photography and Insightful Imagery. Table 38 is actually a first-time LegionsCon exhibitor. It is Big Bad Workshop. So for the first time ever, they are going to be there showing off their Monster Force and other lines. Excited to have them. Table 39 is Toys and Tunes. That's Pete LaRose. If you've ever seen the table images at LegionsCon where there's crazy old Legions figures like the birds and Scarabus and stuff like that, that is table 39. That is Pete. Table 40 is Formo Toys. They make the Legends of Dragonor figures. Tables 41 and 51, that's a nice end cap. That is Kevin of Lone Wolf Labs. Table 42 is Damian Blake of D. Blake Makes. He makes all those cool little action like signs for your display, displays basically. Table 43 is Death by Collectibles. That's Ven. Table 44 is the Five Borough Collective. So both those 43 and 44, they're some of our sellers that sell other action figures. So well, primarily the stuff to buy at LegionsCon is Legions focused. We do have a lot of other independent toy companies, and we have a couple vendors, a couple sellers that just sell other toy lines. Both 43 and 44 would be vendors that do that. Table 45 is Noble Bear Customs, and he's also at table 55 with Reynolds Cruz of the Forge Collection. So they kind of share those two spaces. Tables 46 and 56 is Brian Almeida of Duart Studios. Table 47 is Jared Behrman. Table 48 is the Geek Out Collection. I moved them. They were at table 58 last year, so they got bumped just onto the other side of that. Table 49 is Big Head Studios. They're customizing. They sell a lot of different custom heads. And then tables 50 and 60 is Crashbox Customs. Keep going, Jeremy. Table 52 is One Oak Customs. So they were there last year with Toys R Ish. If you see this guy online, he does these really crazy big, like 3D printed projects, an amazing customizer, Legion's customizer, but he also does these just crazy 3D prints of different robots and ships and stuff like that. Table 53 is Paul's Customs. Table 54 is another first-time exhibitor that I'm super excited about. It is Grindhouse Toys. So if you, they had a successful Kickstarter earlier this year. Chris at our studio is running production for them. They always set up a very cool display. It kind of looks like an old like Blockbuster video type thing going on. Definitely check them out. Super fun. Tables 57 and 58 is Creative Beast Studios. They make those Creatures of the Mesozoic, I think they're called. It's the awesome dinosaur figures. They've got a couple different ones. They've got Cyberzoic coming out, but they're going to be at 57 and 58. 59 is Highly Posable, been with us for a while. 61 and 62 is Valaverse. They actually have a show exclusive figure that they are selling. So we've got them over here so we can line kind of their line out the doors and not block other people, other exhibitors. 63 is Wade from Unparalleled Universe here with his Odious stuff. 64 is Lenny Kingpin Customs. 65 is Leland of Retrospect Customs. 66 is Perry Morrell and all of his cool troll customs. 67 is Art Gutierrez. 68 is Shelf Gravy. They're actually they were a year one LegionsCon exhibitor that returned for the first time last year. They had a huge diorama. 69 is Brutal Realm. They were actually in the hallway last year. They got the call to the big leagues. They're in the main room this year. And then 70 is my friend Chubsy Wubsy. He's another one that's going to be selling some cool stuff, other figures, diorama pieces, all kinds of cool stuff at his table. 71 is Empire Toy Shop, another seller that sells other stuff. 72 is Mark Talvo Custom Creations. 73 is Fox Forge Toys. 74 and 75 is Spiro with Animal Warriors of the Kingdom. But I haven't even announced this yet, but just today we found out that Skeletron, they do that very cool Robo Skull ship. They are going to be attending their first ever LegionsCon. They're going to be sharing some space with Spiro, so they'll be over in that area as well. 76 is Panther Comics. They sell a bunch of like paints and goods at their table. 77 is the Honey Pot Project. So they were the ones, they were in the hallway last year. They do a lot of the very Aztec type customs and everything that we see online in the Cabal. So they will be there. 78 is Job's Palace, another general toy seller. 79 is Arthas Zoran. And then finally, table 80 is the Articulated Times and the From the Realm line of toys. They will be there exhibiting as well with Articulated Times. I'm going to get to the hallway in just a minute. Damiano said, I'm sorry if it was already said, but can you buy tickets at the door? I went to get tickets and it said that Saturday is sold out already. Nope, Saturday is not sold out. The only thing that's sold out for Saturday is the hotel. So 2-day tickets are available online. Single-day tickets are available at the door. But I will check right now. I will check right now for you to tell you if it's sold out. It is not sold out. I'm literally looking at it. It is not sold out. So if you go to legionscon.com, you can absolutely get those 2-day tickets. So looking in the hallway, exactly where these exhibitors are going to be will be determined the week of the show. But a lot of these exhibitors some of them have been with us in past years. Some of the people that were in the hallway last year, they got moved into the main room. We're very fortunate that we lose very few exhibitors year over year with LegionsCon, but we did lose a couple people this year. In most cases, for reasons that had nothing to do with LegionsCon, they just had other stuff going on in their life right now. Example: Trollhead Customs is someone that's been with us for a while. Paul and Jamie are hard at work making lots of crazy cool horror movies. So they're just really focused on that. They haven't had enough time to really, do a lot of the Legions customizing. So they said, you know what? It doesn't make sense for us to have a table. Let's give it to somebody else this year. So that's what they're doing. So some of those hallway exhibitors have moved into the big room. Some of them are still waiting for that move. And we have a lot of new exhibitors in the hallway. So starting at number 81 is Josh Brown Customs, first-time exhibitor, soft goods and so forth. 82 is the Hierophant Entertainment. That's Sumya with his Legends of the Ramayan action figure line. Just had a successful Kickstarter that was done. The figures themselves were worked on by Four Horsemen Studios. He's a first-time exhibitor. He'll be in the hallway. 83 is Calio Legends, an upcoming figure line that Four Horsemen Studios is working on. 84 is Rogues Gallery. They've been with us for a while. 85 is Khaled Udin. He is an author. It's got a very cool fantasy series. He's been with us for a few years. Dude, definitely hit him up. The fact that he comes back year in and year out, like I don't think he was a Legions fan a couple years ago when he first started. He just heard this would be a cool place, and he's gotten into it since then. So definitely go check him out and buy a book. Number 86 is JJE Toys. 87 is Corsair Creations. They're doing that Realms of the Black Tide toy line, that pirate toy line that Four Horsemen Studios is working on. 88 is Diabolic Studios, which I guess used to be called High School Creations. They make some like wall diorama pieces. This is going to be their first Legions Con. 89, Barely Posable. Again, first Legions Con as well. Joe Martinez of Dro Taylor Designs, there with his customs and his first Legions Con. Table 91, Star Wars Geek Customs, custom heads and so forth, first timer. 92 is Greg Schmermerberber with New to Mythics. Not his first Legions Con, but he's been there before, but first time having a table. And then finally, number 93, just signed this gentleman up this week, Eric Bryson. He posted recently in the Cabals these really cool, like big diorama arch pieces. So he reached out and he was like, hey, I would love to get on the wait list for next year. And I just happen to have a table open. So he jumped on. So very, very cool. So that is everybody. Dude, it's crazy. If you look, this is 93 different tables plus all the tables that we had over here. So that is a ton of stuff to see. I think last year we figured out that if you were from the minute the doors open to the minute the doors close, if you went to every table, I think it was something like only a couple minutes you could spend at each table if you wanted to see everything. Furious Figures says, I introduced Khaled to Mythic Legions, and I'm so glad he attends. Got to get him to stay for the lobby festivities. That's awesome. But one of the cool things I would say about LegionsCon, and anyone who's into Legions, I think this is one of the reasons why this is so different, is when you go to a normal toy show, right? Like when I walk into a toy show, there are certain toys I collect. If I go into a toy show, there's only going to be a small percentage of tables that have something I care about. Because if for instance, lately I've been buying a lot of vintage toys. So any table in there that's selling more modern stuff that I'm just not into, they may have awesome stuff, but it's not for me. So there's inevitably going to be a limited amount of tables. Because LegionsCon is such a focused show, if you love Legions, almost every table is something that you love. It's either Legions, it's independent toy companies, or it's some other toy lines. But predominantly it's Legions. So there's so much for you to see. We hear all the time that people are like, I love seeing people on Sunday morning where they're like, dude, Saturday just got away from me. They were like, I was talking to people, I was looking at stuff, and before I knew it, the day was done, and I hadn't even seen half the room. Sunday, I have to be more mission focused. I got to get through this stuff. So it's a very cool thing for that. Action Figure Girl says, I like the variety of vendors curated this year. I appreciate you saying that, Steph, because that is one of the things that we take a lot of pride in for LegionsCon. We're maxed out, right? We can't fit any more vendors. And some people have been like, oh, are you gonna go to like a big event hall next or something like that? And the thing is, we do have people that have contacted us to be part of LegionsCon. And a lot of the ones that we turn away, it's because we're just like, they're not a fit for the show. We've had people that are more like craft vendors and stuff, and they're like, hey, we think that it'd be really cool to be a part of this. And their stuff is amazing, and it's got a time and a place, but I don't know that LegionsCon is the time or the place for that. So we take a lot of pride in not just signing up anyone that will pay the table fees, but really making sure that every single year we're delivering the absolute best product we can for LegionsCon. Faust 6 said, the Crossroad figures, where can we find those? Tables 10 and 20 in the main room. Those are going to be where all the LegionsCon stuff is. So a couple more things I want to point out. This is something that I'm super proud of. So back in 2021, when we were doing LegionsCon, this was the one that was at the Wayne Powell where the Sir Gerard figure came out. Joe and I got this idea and said, no, Plunderlings are there. Curtis, Plunderlings are at table 36. But we said, wouldn't it be cool? Because, Four Horsemen Studios are an independent toy creator, right? They absolutely started as, they bootstrapped themselves. They did it through Kickstarter. It's their own IP, their own creations. They are an independent toy creator through and through. And we said, you know what? It would be really cool to kind of showcase different independent toy creators at LegionsCon, to kind of have this independent toy creator showcase. And that first year, we only had a couple people. Creative Beast Studios signed on. I think Plunderlings didn't show up, but they sent somebody else there. Very, very few. And then every single year, it got more and more. And it's at the point now where if you count all the individual Glyos makers, which they are all different creators, they are all different artists and companies, we're well over 30 independent toy creators that are a part of LegionsCon. That is crazy. Like, I see a lot of these other companies at some of the shows we do. I have never seen a show where every single creator that is on our list is in one place. The only time I've ever seen that is at LegionsCon. So that right there, this spirit of independent toy creators, that is something that is dear to Four Horsemen Studios. And the fact that we're kind of extending that and, doing that same kind of outreach with all these great companies, I think is a really very special thing about LegionsCon. I'm going to post this after this as well. This is the schedule of events. So if people are like, oh, what is there to do at LegionsCon? Is the only thing to do shopping? No, there is not. There is a ton of cool stuff to do at LegionsCon. So looking at this list of events, the fun really kind of kicks off on Thursday night. So Thursday night between 7:30 and 9 p.m. On the third floor at the hotel, we're going to have Legions Ladies Live. They are going to be kicking off the fun. They're going to be doing a live broadcast of their show. Then on Friday, the 7th, that's a big one, 10 a.m. to 3 p.m., we do the G-Con live reveal special. So every single year, we reveal the new Mythic Legions wave at G-Con. Last year, we had some other surprises. All I can tell you about this year is it's going to be an absolute blast. It is open to the public. So those who have been selected for Intern for a Day, which is on Thursday in the morning, they are going to get priority seating at G-Con. So they get let in first, but after they all have their seats, we do open it up to the public. Last year, it was standing room only when we opened. Throughout the day, people are like coming and going, basically. So what I would suggest is if you are at the hotel on Friday, you shouldn't have a problem getting into not intern for a day. Someone just asked me if there's any intern spots. There is not. You should not have a problem getting into GCon. So GCon is going to run from 10 a.m. to 3 p.m., 5 hours. From 4 p.m. to 10 p.m. is vendor badge pickup and setup. So that is pretty much right as GCon ends. Everyone just funnels out into the lobbies. The party starts. The exhibitors are coming in. Now, the exhibitor halls are only open to people with exhibitor badges. But if you're like, well, is there going to be anything for me to do? Absolutely. There's a ton of fun stuff going on. The community is just hopping. One of the things that happens is starting around 6 o'clock, we should have all of the lobby displays up. So all of the big figures, all of the lobby, the figures that we just revealed, all of that will be available probably by 6 o'clock. From 6 to 9 is that early badge pickup that I mentioned as well. So you can get your badge so you'll be ready to go on Saturday morning. From 6:30 to 8:30 on the third floor, Curtis Ackerman and some of the regulars from the customizing studio will be doing the customizing studio live. So that was a huge hit last year. If you've ever just had questions about customizing, how to get started, you're definitely going to want to check that out. And then at 9 o'clock to who knows how long on the third floor is going to be a live broadcast of the Purple Gang show. So all of that is Thursday and Friday. Saturday is when, technically the proper LegionsCon show begins. The showroom's going to be open from 9 a.m. to 6 p.m. on Saturday. It's open from 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. on Sunday. Throughout the day, there are other things going on. So on Saturday, one of the things we revealed last year was Mythic Legions, the role-playing game. One of the things that's going to be happening this year is between 11 a.m. and 5 p.m., we're going to be running a handful of open sessions. So you're going to be able to go and actually sign up if you want to learn to play the game. It's very beginner focused. They're going to take you through a very simple starter adventure to explain it to you. We're going to have probably a game going on in the lobby. We're going to have 1 or 2 games going on upstairs in the third floor. So you can sign up for that. You can be a part of that. The sessions start at 11 a.m. and 3 p.m. They are about hour and a half sessions. So that's about how much time you're going to have for that. People saying, how early do people start lining up for stuff? I don't want to scare you, Chris, but people will start lining up for Saturday on Friday. Like there will be people that will literally be sleeping in the corridor waiting to get in that next day. It's absolutely insane. It's not necessary. You don't have to be there that early. We do our best to go through the lines pretty quickly, but there will be people lining up early. One of the cool things is even if you do decide to get in line early at 6 o'clock in the morning, there's going to be plenty of other Legions fans in line to hang out with and talk to. So I was talking about the RPG sessions. There is also, if you just want to watch an RPG session, from 1 p.m. to 3 p.m., there's what we call the featured gaming session. That will be on the third floor as well in one of the main rooms. Yeah, Michael, you're one of the ones that I always see out there sleeping. The featured RPG session, that will be with, last year we kind of had like we called a celebrity session. We're going to get some of those guys back. They're going to play again. You can watch them play a game if you just want to witness that. From 6 to 8 p.m., so at 6 o'clock, we close the showroom down. We keep it open. We keep the Four Horsemen stuff open only for exhibitors because they can't get away from their tables to shop during the day. So we allow them to do that for those exhibitor only hours. From 6 to 7 on the third floor is a recording of New to Mythics with Schmermerberber. From 8 to 10 in the downstairs lobby is the Pop and Swap Parts Exchange. So the last few years, Chris James has led this. Chris, unfortunately, will not be able to join us this year. So Dirk's Designs is apparently he's taken over everything. Dirk is going to lead that with a group of his crew. What that is if you have a bunch of Legions parts, bring them to the show because they're going to be just people set up with all different kinds of parts. You can set up and just exchange parts. If you have a bunch of pieces you don't need and you're looking for other stuff, this is a great way that you can mix and match parts and swap that stuff. If you don't know what swapping is and you just want people to show you how to break this stuff apart, you can do that as well. It's a lot of fun. Everyone, all the feedback I got last year was people had a blast doing that. So that'll be in the lobby. Speaking of the lobby, from 8 p.m. to who knows, we say Legions in the lobby. One of the cool things about this location is, number one, we rent literally the entire building. So everyone that is there for LegionsCon. There's the Old Shebeen Irish Pub that you can get some great food, get some great drinks. That is going to be open late. People are just hanging out in the lobby, eating and drinking. People buy pizzas and stuff is set up. It is an absolute party. It is a respectful party. I say this every single year. We have never had a problem at LegionsCon. Don't be the person that ruins it. Don't be the person. These hotel, they love us. They ask us back every single year because they love us and they love our people. That is amazing. Like, I've told this story every single year that the first year we did LegionsCon, when they saw our people and they saw the size of the crowd, they were genuinely nervous. They thought that it was going to be messy. And by Saturday, they were like having a blast because they realized that the Legions community is unlike any other. People took care of that place. They kept it clean. They had fun. They had a lot of fun, but they were respectful of the place and the environment. So this is on all of us. Keep the level of positivity up. Keep the place clean. Keep it respectful. Treat the people at the hotel with the respect they deserve. You've done it every other year. I have no reason to think you won't do it this year. Last on Saturday at 8 p.m. is the My Wife Is Going to Kill Me podcast private event. That is on the third floor. It will include arm wrestling this year, apparently. That is, you got to see the My Wife Is Going to Kill Me crew to get access to that event. Sunday is a lot of similar stuff. We once again have the showrooms open. We once again have the RPG sessions. We have sessions at 11 a.m. and 1 p.m. One of the new things that day, or the new thing, is the photo of 1,000 swigs. We tried this last year. We tried to get 1,000 different swigs, customized or otherwise, together for one epic photo. We came a little bit short, so we're trying it again this year. Bring the swig you had last year. Bring some new swigs. You drop them off on the third floor. They're going to tag it with whose is whose. You can drop it off before 11 a.m., pick it up after 1 p.m. They're going to take a picture of all the swigs together. Tons of fun. 5 o'clock, very sorry, but the show is over. It's time to break down. But once again, everyone's hanging out in the lobby, talking about what a great year they had and already starting to plan for next year. And every year, kind of the final event is right in the lobby. Curtis, Jesse, Shooting the Shelf. They do a live broadcast, really just recapping the weekend. So that's what we've got for the agenda for the weekend. I'm going to post this as well. Leave you with this. I mean, come on. Look at this thing. This is the promo I put together. You look at that list of exhibitors. You look at those figures. Look, you all know me, right? You know that I am a Legions fan through and through. I have said this year in and year out. The secret to LegionsCon, when Joe and I put this together, we said we want to make the show that we want to attend. We were both Legion super fans. We wanted to make a Legion show that we would want to go to. And that has been our driving kind of goal every single year. We've always said, if you come to LegionsCon, we want you to have such a great time that you can never imagine skipping another one. And if you do miss a LegionsCon, if you can't go and you see the coverage and you see how much fun it is, we want you to be like, there is no way I'm missing next year. And so far, I think we've been pretty darn successful with that. That is LegionsCon 2025. So if you don't have those tickets yet, get over to legionscon.com. I'm going to tell you right now, we will sell out. With the pace we're going right now, we will sell out of 2-day passes, because there is a point that I have to cut them off because we have to order all the badges and we can only accommodate so many people. So if you don't want to be shut out, we will still have single-day passes at the door. You don't want to have to do that if you plan on going for both days. So please, very, very much. Yeah, G's in the chat here saying, I was crying leaving on Sunday. I love my people. Dude, G, it's an emotional show. Like, you're not the first person that has shed a tear as LegionsCon wraps up. It's something different. One thing I'll tease, look out for, is Brad Treadaway, who does the amazing documentaries that we've been showcasing at Four Horsemen Studios. He has been working on a documentary. We shot a ton of footage at LegionsCon last year. He's been putting together a documentary about LegionsCon in general, but really focused on last year. We're hoping to drop that in the next week or so. Dude, wait till you see that. It is something special. So yeah, I cannot wait. This is going to be so exciting. I started a little late tonight, so I got a few extra minutes if people want to hit me up in the chat. A lot of comments came in, a lot of questions came in, but I had so much to get through that I was just trying to do it. So I didn't see some of those comments. But if you do have some very specific questions I didn't answer, hit me up and I'll try to do my best to answer them now. My wife will be joining me to celebrate our anniversary. That's awesome. I love to hear that. Chris saying, happy to be back for year number 4. Dude, happy to have you back as well. What am I excited about, Jeremy? Schmerber is asking me what I'm excited about. Being able to reveal the G-Con stuff. That's always one of the things I'm most excited about. I mean, I love to see everybody. I love to hear the stories and everything, but seeing the reaction of what we've worked on so hard is amazing. Admin pick up our badges with exhibit or attendees. You can pick it up anytime. You can pick it up with exhibitors. That's fine. Will any of the RPG sessions be recorded? Yeah, I'm going to try to have Brad record something on those for sure. Probably the main RPG session with the celebrities. Will it be the best wave yet? You know it will. It's always the best wave yet. Yeah, Furious. I'd love more documentaries as well. That's why we brought Brad on. Ryan, the process of making the intern bus is not as exciting as you might think it is. It's a lot of printing and casting. Joe saying, everyone told me how great LegionsCon was, and I still wasn't prepared for how amazing it was. Dude, that's awesome. Yeah, happy to see Nolan coming back. Dragosair cold-blooded. Could live in Einstein, though. Yeah, sure. Yeah, you can pass, if you have some that are paid for, you can pass them on to somebody else. Just send them the email that's got the pass. No, the Valaverse exclusive will be at the Valaverse table. They're not true LegionsCon exclusives. They're Valaverse figures that he's selling. I wouldn't even call them exclusives because I know he's going to sell them on his website later. They're probably debuting at LegionsCon, but those will be at the Valaverse table. Absolutely, Brian. Happy to have you. Will there be Wolfsbane Lager available at the pub? We can hope. We can absolutely. There'll be Guinness. I can tell you that much. Then the single days won't sell out. We don't have most of our attendees come for the entire weekend. So one of the reasons we don't sell single day passes online is it would be a huge headache for us. And there's just not enough people that come for a single day to make it worth it. But you do not have to worry. The single day will not sell out. We just don't have enough people that come up, that walk up, that it would be a problem. Let's see. Finally stoked to make it out to LegionsCon. Happy to have you there. Joe Vassapolo, I'm not crying, I'm sweating. Jesse saying, LegionsCon 21 changed my life, literally. I would love to have a hands-on copy of the book. The book has been problematic. Like I said this last week, I think. It's all issues that we can solve. It's just first-time growing pains, first time making a book of this size. We're learning things as we go. So I was hoping to have them by LegionsCon. That looks unlikely. But if I can have a copy, I would love to be able to have that there. Let's see. Very cool. So with that, I am going to call it an evening. It's been a bit of a hectic day, but I'm excited that we got through this. As we build up to LegionsCon, certainly I will be here every single week. We'll talk more about it. I'll answer any questions you have. Certainly check out the other shows like Legions Lounge, like Legions Ladies, Euro Legions Podcast. They all do their kind of build up, Mythic enablers, just shelve it, or what do they call it? What do they call that one now? Curtis, what do you call the show? Shooting the Shelf. Too many names. Shooting the Shelf. Everyone does their build up to LegionsCon. So certainly as you get closer and closer, there's going to be a lot of content out there to get you ready. But if you are a first timer coming to LegionsCon, just ask. Like, dude, everyone is so happy. If you go up to someone and you're like, hey, this is my first time here, and you ask them a question, I guarantee you that person is going to be tickled to be like, let me hook you up. Let me tell you what you're going to do. Like, that's part of the mentality of this community. So if you are going, everyone always says it. When people say, what are you most excited for? By and large, everyone says to people, talk to people. Everyone is there for the same thing. Go have a good time. Dude, if you see me, no matter how busy I look, say hello. I'd be happy to talk to you for a few minutes. I'm there to meet everyone as well. It's a great experience for me as well to be a part of this community. So I look forward to seeing you all there, but we got a couple more weeks before we get there. I will see you next week back here on Mythic Conversations. Good night, everyone.